It's Fancy Friday. Taking my freedom, taking it off the shelf, wearing it in my hair, wearing it on my belt. I'm taking my freedom, putting it in my car, wherever I choose to go. It will take me for a ride. Living my life like it's golden. Yes, living my life like it's golden. 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 Living my life like I'm living my life. Living my life. Yes, I am. Golden, 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 golden. I know this to be true. I am living my life like it's golden, 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 golden. Wherever I go, I'm living my life. Living it's golden, 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 golden. Oh, I'm living my life like it's golden, 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 golden. I'm living my life like it's whoa, whoa.
Hey, Donnie.
Can't be held back by limitations. Living my
Donnie, that was
golden, 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 golden. Living my life. It's golden, 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 golden. Feels so good to living my life like living my life like it's golden, 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 living my life. I am free indeed.
You
Hey.
remixed that. Yes. Thank you, Donnie. Shout out to the Music Man, licensed music therapist, for that rendition of Golden.
That boy good. That boy good.
I love that breakdown at the end. And so, in the spirit of that, I just got to ask y'all, how do you live your life like it's golden?
Working hard and
I
playing.
live my life like it's platinum. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Well, I live it like that one day at a time. But someday
Okay,
I'm gonna be real.
man.
Well, the irony is, let me give my introduction, y'all. I just got caught up into the song. So welcome to Fancy Friday. For those of you who are out there watching, this is the show that we started to promote mental wellness during the pandemic, to encourage people to get dressed, have something to look forward to, have fun, and just get well. And so I'm excited to be here tonight with my co-host and two special guests that you're going to see, to support and honor and celebrate Women's History Month.
Women's History Month. Woo, 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 woo.
So let me go ahead and give a shout out to my co-host, Charles Whitby.
Reporting for duty. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Fancy Friday. You know, I'm only here for your money, so don't think too much about me. You know, I just want your money. Not for me though. I don't need your money. I want
You
your
always
money. Okay. So we'll talk about that later. But it's good to see everybody. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Fancy Friday.
Yes, yes. And of course, our other co-host and beautiful brand ambassador, Trina Marie.
I'm
Shaw.
here to help raise money.
Shaw, better throw that in there. Make that husband happy.
Yeah. Make my husband proud, please.
Right, act right today.
I want to keep him. Yeah, I'm here too for the emotional and mental health, and also too so that you guys can support Solutions of Change by donating some money.
And look, we're thankful for people who get behind you for a great cause. And that being said, our first guest, and for those of you out there watching, make sure you stay tuned, because the second guest we're going to have is Assemblywoman Selena Torres, awesome dynamic woman. But our first lady of the show to celebrate women's history is none other than the Trina Giles. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Trina, you are just such an, I don't even know the words, but a woman to be admired. You've broken barriers.
You.
You're dynamic. You know, I love you and have a great affinity and respect for you. Thank you. And, you know, we were thinking, like, who can we have, you know, on this show for Women's History Month? And it's like, I mean, Trina Giles is definitely history, right? You are women's history, and you have been. You are the owner of Gritz Cafe. You were the first Black female firefighter in the state of Nevada, and you have just broken many barriers, paved the way, and been a great, stellar example. And I even told Trina Marie, I said, well, I love Trina, but she's always on everything. And not in a bad way, but it was just like, I said, you got to give honor where it's due. And so, I mean, that just goes to show how widespread your influence and impact is. So we're happy to have you.
But to be honest, though, how many, when you think of a firefighter, you really still don't think of women, let alone a Black woman. You don't.
No. You don't. And you don't think that they're girly girls either, because that's one of the big misconceptions, you know, about women firefighters. At least for me, I didn't see any women, and the women that I did see were, you know, buff, and they could out bench press men. So I definitely didn't think, being a former beauty queen, that I would fit the description at all.
And before we get into, you know, what that journey was like, you definitely are a beauty queen. We could see it. And I thought the ironies, right, that our show, you didn't know, open with golden, and here you show up, okay? Golden.
Right. True.
So how do you keep your fancy? Like, how do you keep yourself feminine and stylish, especially being, you know, such a independent or strong woman, or even working in that, you know, industry where that wasn't the norm?
Well, back in my firefighting days, it's funny, but I was another person at work. You know, when I would put on the uniform, it was about business, about fighting fire, about responding to medical calls. And then the minute I would get in my car to leave work, I have to wear earrings. I have to have earrings in my ear. I would put my earrings on in the car before I would drive home, because I didn't feel complete without earrings. I had to go without nails for a period of time until I passed probation, and they had to be short, but I always took care of myself: manicure, pedicure, making sure I got my hair done, making sure I stayed in shape, you know, so I could actually do the job. But part of it, I think, is a mindset too. For women, you know, we're all, I mean, Trina Marie, Denisha, we're all of us, all three of us have been in the pageant circuit. So it's not something that you can just throw away. It's always in us to be prissy, give our best, make sure our lip gloss is popping. You know, even if we're going to the store, we still have to put it together some kind of way. So
well,
it's a mindset.
You do it well. I don't consider myself prissy, but I do make sure my lip gloss is popping. You think I'm prissy?
You are prissy.
God,
yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I want all the audience to hear this. Okay. I want all the audience to hear this. So you don't think that she the wrong. Listen, we recorded last week. I was in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we were waiting for Denisha to finish getting styled by Jada
Wait,
in the back.
wait,
So if we want to talk about prissy,
wait.
this woman
She
was,
was still right. Right.
they had a special
to
waiting
Jada.
room.
Normally, I'm the one that people are waiting on. You have me beat, girl.
The special waiting room.
You have me beat.
That's prissy.
Yes.
Oh,
Hair always laid. Hair
But
always
no, it's a good thing. So let me
There's nothing wrong
speak
with
as a gentleman on the platform here.
please.
Like, I appreciate all of you ladies. Like, I've interacted with all of you ladies in different manners, in different occasions, in different times, in different settings, and you always are on your P's and Q's. I never catch y'all slipping. Always presentable. I do have to give my own personal shout out to Trina, because when we did the Black Panther challenge, her and Gritz like really came through and gave like a tremendous donation. And then she also did an interview with us. So when you said, Danisha, you said that she always be on everything. She did an interview with us to promote the fundraiser and helped us raise more money. And we just appreciate, she's just a powerful woman in community, and she's so humble and brilliant and like,
Thank you.
And if anybody is hungry in the morning, there's no other place to go.
where can
Then
they
the
go?
Gritz
Give
Cafe.
them that address.
There's only one place to go. Gritz.
Right. 1911 Stella Lake Street, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89106. We're in the historic West Side. But our goal is to expand, because I need to be in the Southwest. I need to be in
Bring
Green
it over to me,
Valley.
baby. Bring it to me.
Summerlin. You need to be in Summerlin.
Yes.
So Trina, oh, I'm sorry, continue, finish that.
No, I was just saying my goal is to have grits in all parts of town. So
Oh.
And country, I'm speaking that for you. We've talked about it. But you know, it's so funny that the Las Vegas Review Journal did an article on you last month for Black History Month. And one of the statements they said was that you are breaking barriers for Black women. I'm like, you're breaking barriers for women, you know? So I just want to make sure I just put that out there, and again, honor and salute you. So, you know, being a firefighter and now being a restaurant owner for what, 15 years? How long has Gritz been open?
14, we hit our 14-year mark January 5th of this year. So time has flown by. It really has.
I remember when you hit 10 years. That's crazy.
I know.
It seemed like it was yesterday.
4 years when we interviewed then.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Go back to the firefighting days, because I brag about this, but I played flag football.
Okay.
Grade. And I was good. So anything that I always say a woman can do anything that she sets her mind to. There are going to be some challenges. So I just kind of want to hear a little bit about maybe if there was like a challenge in regards to like mental health or your emotional health. And would you recommend other women being more involved or looking to look at firefighting as a profession?
Well, to start out with, I definitely recommend women becoming firefighters. I think we add a different dynamic to serving our community. And we serve people that are women. And sometimes 80% of our calls are medical. So there are a lot of times when a woman can relate to the situation a little bit more than men, because they're more looking for solution-oriented things, where we're a little bit more emotional and we're able to give our patient a little bit more of a comfort, whether, you know, it's a traumatic situation, their house is burned down, or there was a vehicle accident. So number one, I think women should look into it. It is very mentally challenging. So it's twofold. Physically, as women, we use our legs a lot. So I had to learn that my strength was mostly in my legs, not necessarily my arms. So when I would force a door, I'm usually holding the axe in my hip area and forcing it from the side, opposed to just using brute strength, which is what most of the guys do. So there are different strategies that I use to get the job done, but you have to be able to do the job. And because they're not going to carry you, they're not going to pencil whip you through the academy. It's a 20-week academy that's very strenuous. So that falls into the mental health part. Because for me, I was the only woman out of 40 men in my academy, and I was the first Black woman. And I was in culture shock. I really was. I was like, what am I doing here? I'm going to be an executive. I'm going to own my own business. But I realized that there was a need, and it's a great career. 10 days a month you work. Starting salary is right about 60,000 to start now, you know? And so coming out of high school, 22, 23 years of age, that's an awesome salary. And it's exciting, you know, lights and
I just
sirens.
like the 10 days a month part. Can we go back to that part?
I'm sorry.
Right.
I tried to switch my career twice today. Once at the orthodontist. I was like, why didn't I go into that? Now I'm like, why didn't I go into firefighting?
Look, 10 days a month. It's 24-hour shifts. So you have to remember, if you have a family, being away from your family for 24 hours can be strenuous. And for me, I had my son, and I had 10 years, almost 10 years on the department. Well, 6 years on the department. I had my son at 28. So I didn't retire until he was 16. And there were a lot of things that I missed in his life, but it also allowed me to spend a lot of time with him as well. But when you're gone for 24 hours, you miss a lot. Sometimes 24, 48, 72, depending on when I went into arson. We're a small division of only 6 investigators. So I would miss 72 hours of seeing my kid, which is a lot. So thank God I had a very strong family, but women definitely can do it. Mentally, you have to be strong, because what I found is that when I would go through training and drills as a rookie, if I told myself, oh, this is too hard, I can't do this, my body responded that in kind. But if I told myself, you got this, you can do it, I would push through every event. So then I start realizing the power of my thoughts. So mental health was very important, because the power of your thoughts is going to dictate the result.
Oh, absolutely.
Every time.
Absolutely.
Every time for me.
I mean, man, that was powerful. And I wanted to ask you, and so you kind of went towards it. So if you could just go a little deeper and tell us, how did you, I hear you saying it's important and what you did, but how did you tap into that place mentally when, you know, you were feeling like you wanted to quit or it was too hard, if that came up? How did you learn to tap into that mental space to push?
Well, number one, my mother, the first 2 weeks of rookie school, I went home every day crying, saying, why am I doing this? I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, had to spit shine my boots, had creases in all of my uniforms, studying to make sure you passed every test above 80. And no one liked me. The guys didn't think I belonged there. So I was constantly trying to prove that I can do exactly what they were capable of doing. And sometimes I wasn't able to, but I was able to do enough to where they knew I was a value to the team. So number one, my mother was my strength, because when I came home and I was like, I can't do this. And she said, yes, you can. And you're going to do it. And there's a lot of people depending on you to do it. So there were a lot of people who motivated me to pull from a strength that I had never had to pull from. The professional Black firefighters, they had trained me for 3 months on pulling hose, throwing ladders, learning every tool in the book, so I couldn't let them down. So really my strength came from my community and my family. Mentally, knowing that I had other people depending on me, it made it a little bit easier to tap into that. But I didn't like the result when I didn't tap into it. So I found out that if I would have those negative thoughts in my mind, like, this is too hard, and I'm watching other recruits and men fail at this exercise, I had to zone out completely and start praying. Prayer came into God, number one. So let me say that first. God was really my strength through this whole thing, because racism is real. and it exists and it's systemic. And I wasn't treated fairly a lot. And I had to endure that because I wanted to pass probation. Plus, I wanted to dispel the stereotype that Black women had attitudes all the time.
I can't imagine like how challenging managing all that is, but yes, salute. I mean, and I know you have more to say. I mean, you're a dynamic, successful woman with so much history, and I actually have heard you share your story a few times, and every time it's something new, it's something richer, and so I just appreciate you for being just as dynamic as you are. We are, we're gonna have you back, but as we get ready to kind of wrap up, I do want to ask you, I mean, kind of falling in line with that, but just being a successful entrepreneur, what do you do today to manage your mental health, and what would you have to say to a successful woman or someone trying to break barriers and do the things that you are doing about counseling, therapy, or managing, their mental health?
So for me, every day I pray. I don't meditate as much as I would like to, but I wake up every day I pray to God. Every morning I wake up and every night. But I also too, I give myself positive affirmations. So I'll pull up positive affirmations on YouTube and let them just play while I'm getting dressed in the morning. The Gritz Cafe is kind of like the fire service. Every day there's something different and a different fire to put out, whether it's a customer issue or an employee issue. And so I have to remind myself every day, there isn't a day that go by that I can't remind myself something positive that I can accomplish. Some days now I need to self-reflect. So you have to put self-care first. So I started caring for myself first because, as you know, my blood pressure started spiking and I had to shut down for a minute in order to get my health, my physical health in order. And your physical health really also too relates to your mental health. It will start affecting your whole mental. So I learned to put God first and to pray, put good things into my thoughts, alleviate the negative things, and also start doing some self-love things for myself, like making sure I work out, making sure I take a break, a day of rest when I need it, making sure I have quality time with my son, because that was a big thing that I used to be I felt really guilty about. So I have no excuse whatsoever now not to be present in my son's life. So I just started doing things on a daily basis. And then I started a spiritual counselor too. And she taught me a lot of things with crystals. I'm a Christian and she's a Christian also. So sometimes people think that's witchcraft or that's something else, but there are a lot of spiritual things in the Bible that talk about crystals and talk about even sage. And so I decided to start making sure I had those type of energy fields in my room. I have salt water under my bed. So when I sleep, it's pulling out all of that anxiety at night. And I do it every single night.
Also keep a great company around you, right? Keep a great company.
I can just imagine there are so many.
Yeah.
There are so many things, right, that we can do, and different things work for different people. And I mean, being just the powerhouse that you are, you got to have a full plethora. So if y'all want Trina's list, make sure you reach out to her. But no, we thank you so much for joining the show. Like, you are just admirable, fabulous.
Thank you.
Definitely a woman to watch. And just on behalf of Solutions of Change and my co-host here, I just want to tell you thank you, and we celebrate you for being women's history.
And I celebrate you two women too, because you inspire me, all of your accomplishments. So you're right, Trina Marie. Even if you're not around those people every day, having a timeline of people that you can look and say, oh, I like that, go girl. All of those things help me to say, you know what? that's positive. But when you have a timeline full of drama, I'm just like,
I
unfollow, because I can't do that. That's too much.
unfollow.
Yeah, I do too. I don't have issues on Facebook. My timeline is positive.
It has
And,
to be positive.
Trina, is your Facebook open to fans or guests? And if so, can you share your social media handles?
Absolutely. So I am on Facebook, Trina Giles on Facebook. I'm on Instagram at Miss Gritz MZ, Gritz GRITZ. And my business handles are Gritz Cafe on Facebook, Gritz Cafe on Instagram, so at Gritz Cafe, and we're on Twitter now, Gritz Cafe Las Vegas. So I'm trying to get my Twitter stuff going because I get tagged a lot on Twitter. So I'm on all of those, but my personal stuff definitely is open to the public and even my business pages.
And yeah, as y'all can see in the slide here that we have up all of her business handles and social media, as well as the address to Gritz Cafe is up there and her hours of operation. Make sure you go and get you some grits and get you some breakfast. The best fish in town. The best
Them shrimp and grits though.
Yeah.
I gotta get in that shrimp.
You won't steer from that, will you, Charles? You will not steer from that.
Well, now I get that every time I go. It's my standard order. There's nothing else that get ordered.
I'm gonna have to try the shrimp and grits.
It's
With
really
egg
good.
scramble and the cheese on top. Ooh.
I've never had that either. I always get that catfish because
I eat more catfish than I eat anything too. It has to be thick and crunchy and perfect. So
Sounds amazing.
Charles, next time you're in town, then I'm gonna visit you anyways, Trina, but we're gonna go over there.
No, we should make it a thing since you didn't make it a thing. Last time I was in
let's
town.
do it.
She didn't make time.
Let's have
Trina,
a
she didn't make
solutions
time
of
for me the
change.
last time I was in town.
Something at Gritz Cafe, a solutions of change event where people can buy one. And, we need to do something, you guys.
We should do a fundraiser. We should do a fundraiser.
You know, we got minority mental health coming up in May. Look.
Listen, y'all know I've raised funds. We're gonna do.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you, Trina. Oh my God.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks for always availing yourself and being the change. You are a solution to some of the change that we need. So y'all go watch Trina, follow her social media handles, visit Gritz, make sure you patronize. And we thank y'all for joining us for Fancy Friday. Make sure you stay tuned because we'll be back next with Assemblywoman Selena Torres talking about the importance of cultural competency when it comes to counseling and mental health. So we thank y'all.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
We love you, Trina.
I love you guys.
Hello, everyone. It's Charles Whitby, and I just want to talk to you about a fundraiser that we have coming up. So you heard today Miss Trina Giles, who is the first female firefighter in the state of Nevada, who also owns Gritz Cafe. She is allowing us to host a fundraiser at her wonderful establishment. So please come and join us on Saturday, March 27th. All day long, there'll be breakfast from, I believe it's 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can get breakfast or brunch. Bring your family. I'm here as an advocate to let you know the food is fire. But between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., we will also be having live music and booths with information about health, mental health awareness, so that you can come and bring your family. And guess what? Trina has been so generous to allow 20% of the food proceeds to go to the Solutions of Change charity. That means that if you spend your money at Gritz Cafe on March 27th, then you are actually contributing to this fundraise. So it's a win-win for all of us. You get to eat good food at the same price you normally do. Trina gets to promote her business, and you get to be able to come to her establishment. And then lastly, Solutions of Change will be able to receive a monetary donation so that the mental health awareness mission that we are on can be furthered by providing mental health services to those who are uninsured and underinsured. So please join us on Saturday, March 27th. Once again, you can get food from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and you can have live entertainment from Donnie Lee, who will be DJing and doing some live instrumentation between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you on March 27th. Be there. There's the option. Just be there.
Tonight, we are joined by the beautiful, amazing, awesome, dynamic, powerful, driven Assemblywoman Selena Torres.
Thank you. Excited to be with y'all today.
We are so happy to have you here, Assemblywoman. We're thankful that you joined us. And, part of the reason that I was really excited to have you on this show with us tonight is because, first of all, you came out and supported us for our suicide awareness event back in September.
Thank you so much.
It was a beautiful event. I was excited to be there, and so many youth too. It was excellent.
And when you talk about the youth, that's important because the suicide rate, suicide used to be the second leading cause of death for youth, and now over the last few years, it has become the first leading cause of death for youth. Unfortunately, ages 12 to 19, and just in CCSD, Clark County, Nevada, right now, we have seen double our rates of suicide among youth than we saw the entire school year last year. So making sure we raise awareness. I always say awareness with intervention gets us to prevention. It's so important for everybody, but especially that high at-risk population.
Yeah, 100%.
So, Assemblywoman, you and I I've been supporting you, rather. I ain't gonna say you and I, because you've been doing the work. You're a dynamic woman. You are the youngest Assemblywoman in the legislature right now. How does that feel?
It's always, I'm honored to represent my community. I represent Assembly District 3, which is in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada, close to Jones in the 95 area. And I'm excited to serve my district in this capacity and to serve our state in this capacity. My first session, I was 23 years old. I came back this year and I'm 25 years old. I'm excited to be here and continue to carry legislation and bring our voice to the table here at the Nevada State Legislature.
That is just amazing. It's dynamic. Now, really quick though, because I do want to talk about a bill specifically that relates to mental health that you have been working on and pushing. But like I said, you look beautiful in addition to how dynamic you are. How do you keep your fancy being a legislator?
How do I keep my fancy? I think the first part is yoga in the morning. So yoga has been my savior since the quarantine. About August, when the school year started, I'm an educator. So when school started, I was like, I got to do something that's going to help me stay calm and not get as stressed out. And I think that always helps me. So my yoga in the mornings has been helpful. And the second thing has to be my Dyson Airwrap. It's a lifesaver.
And then what about you? Like, how do you describe your style?
I think I don't know. That's a very hard question. How to describe my style? I guess like business casual, business fancy. I don't know. Depends on the day.
Well, it definitely works for you. So, of course, like you said, being in the legislature at the young age of 23 and then coming back and being reelected and working in a demographic area where there is a lot of need. Tell us about, what some of your major causes are.
I'm sorry, some of the causes, like I'll be, for the legislation, I'll be carrying this session.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously BDR 175 is one of the priorities for me. And this is a piece of legislation that deals with ensuring that mental health professionals have cultural competency or DEI training or diversity, equity, and inclusion training. It's so important that all mental health professionals are ready to serve the diverse populations within our community. And I think throughout the summer, we saw the impact of police violence throughout our community. And the community has to feel safe going to a mental health professional to work through and talk about their own mental health. And that means that we need mental health professionals that are ready to serve our community. And too many times have I heard in our community that they don't feel that there's somebody who will understand them. And not even just because of language barriers, although that's another issue within the mental health field, but oftentimes because they feel like there are mental health professionals that will talk to them without judgment. And so we need to ensure that our mental health professionals are receiving constant training to serve the diverse communities in Nevada so that we can strengthen mental health throughout our state.
Assemblywoman, that's very interesting. First of all, I applaud you for that legislative bill. But there's two things that catch me about this that's interesting is that the first part, you being so young and so passionate about being able to champion a bill like this when I was growing up and, you know, in my younger days, you know, I got a little age on you. It wasn't a focus. It wasn't something that even I would have known to be passionate about. What inspired you and what makes you passionate about mental health in such a way that you would champion a bill like that?
I think I got a couple of things. And, you know, first, I really want to credit Dr. Sandra Gray for bringing this to my attention. She's a licensed mental health professional in Las Vegas, Nevada. And she reached out to me and was like, you know, this is something we got to do. And she talked to me, she shared her passion. And I don't think I needed more than 3 minutes for me to say, yeah, this is something we absolutely have to do. And it's something that I understand as a daughter of an immigrant. My father immigrated to the United States from El Salvador, and he left fleeing the Salvadoran Civil War. And growing up, my father was coping with PTSD for my entire childhood. And it wasn't until my early 20s that my father started to see and seek mental health counseling. And that was helpful for our family and for him to just work through some of the violence and the things that he had seen growing up. And unfortunately, that's the reality for a lot of people. And my father felt like there weren't a lot of mental health professionals in our community that could understand him, that sometimes because of his accent and just because of the different way that he grew up, because it was challenging coming from his community, growing up in poverty, and seeing the tragic violence that he was witness to throughout the majority of his childhood, and then to come to the United States and working so hard. And although my father, I think, dealt with this violence, sometimes just by like internal anger, he didn't feel comfortable seeking help. And I don't want other individuals in our community to feel that same sense of discomfort, or people thought that he just like, they would be very dismissive of him. And it was just because of his culture. And I think it's so important that we have a profession that is ready to serve all members of our community.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, I'm just full off of it. I thank you for sharing your story and, like Charles said, championing this bill. So if people want to support this bill and or you and some of the other things that you have that you're pushing through this session, how can they go about doing that?
I think for this piece of legislation right now, we're still waiting for the language to drop here in Carson City, you know, but when it comes, I'm hoping that we can quickly get a hearing. So what we need is people to be ready to have their letters of support ready to go and say that this is a piece of legislation that is important to them, that they want to see passed. And, you know, honestly, we need people of all walks of life. We need mental health professionals. We need activists. We need parents. We need individuals that maybe were denied access to quality mental health care in Nevada because the providers here might have lacked the cultural competency that they needed. So please, you know, reach out to us. My email is selena.torres@asm.state.nv.us. And I'm sure y'all will help by putting that in the chat somewhere. It's extremely long. And you can just reach out. Send me notification. I know that you can probably reach out to Denisha as well, and I'm sure that she'll be able to get you in contact with me. And just some short letters of support. And when we get a hearing, as soon as we get a hearing, I'll be sharing that out on all of my million social media pages, TikTok, Insta, Twitter, Facebook. And I'll be making sure that that information is available so that people can call in and testify and express how important this is for us in Nevada.
Amazing. Awesome. I'll put it on your MySpace as well.
You know, I never had a MySpace.
Assemblywoman, let me ask you a question. So we're celebrating Women's History, and I'm wondering if there was something that you would say to a young girl who was growing up, who maybe had aspirations to work in politics or to work in legislature. What would you say to her? Just to encourage that journey.
You know, we need more. Nevada is so fortunate that we're the first state in the nation to have a female majority legislature. And we have one of the most diverse legislatures in the nation. We need diverse voices at the table, and we need young voices at the table as well. So I encourage anyone who's interested in running for office, reach out. You can reach out to myself or any of my colleagues that maybe you feel comfortable with. Reach out, talk to us about what it's like to be in public office, and do it. Don't second guess yourself. And young people can be in office, older people can be in office. We need our voices here at the state of Nevada. And if you're willing to work hard and do great things for our community, then reach out.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna rewind a little bit here because Donnie said history and you said first. You said Nevada is the first state for what?
We're the first state in the nation to have a female majority.
Can you explain?
Wow.
Can you explain what that means to people who don't follow politics?
Yes, definitely. So here in the Nevada legislature is composed of 42 assemblymen and women and 21 Nevada state senators. And we make policy here at a state level. Since our state's creation in the 1800s, we have had a legislature that was predominantly male. And that was still very common in state legislatures and in the National Congress and Senate. Nevada is the first nation to have predominantly women. And at this point in time in 2021, we actually have 60% women serving in the Nevada state legislature.
Wow. That's the women. Exactly.
So I know that there's going to be so many more of us soon.
It's amazing.
Yes, you are definitely women's history. And look, I know our time is cutting short, but I do want to ask you, with you being the youngest female legislature and making your own women's history here in Nevada, and making your own women's history here in Nevada in regard to that, what inspired you and or pushed you to get into politics so young, and how did you do it?
I think I've always been really interested in just like current events, what was going on in our community and what's going on in our world nationally. But I think that really what pushed me to run for office was my students. When I'm not here in Carson City, I'm actually back in Vegas. I'm a high school teacher predominantly. And working in the classroom, I just recognized that a lot of the issues that my students were experiencing were not education issues. The issues that my students were experiencing were systemic injustices. And we had to change those things in order for us to change our education system. We talk a lot in Nevada and nationally about how we're last in education, but we're not going to fix any education crisis without also addressing the social justice inequities and these systemic inequities in our state. We need to create policy that is going to support criminal justice reform, create affordable housing, and create affordable health care, and expand social services. And we're not going to be able to do those things without having people here at the table that understand that.
Absolutely.
I heard you mention twice about you responding to your people, and that's what our legislators are here for, to respond to the needs of their community and the people. And so you mentioned the professional who reached out to you and said there's this need for cultural competency. So thank you for responding to her need. I also heard you mention your constituents and their needs, and that's another reason why you're pushing this bill. So I just thank you for doing your role amazingly and effectively and being here with us tonight and supporting Fancy Friday, and just being an amazing example of what the change can and should be.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. And, I encourage anybody that has questions, if they want to get involved in the legislative process, please reach out. That's exactly what we're here for. We're a citizens legislature. I serve in the People's House, and I want to help make sure that this is your house. So please reach out to us.
Yeah, you can do that by Selena Torres at Gmail, at Yahoo, at Nevada.state.gov.us.com. Okay.
We will be putting all of our contact information in the chat. You see the slide up. We'll make sure you can get in contact with this amazing woman.
Exactly. Or just follow my social media. That's pretty easy. I'm pretty responsive on most social media.
You know what? We're pretty fortunate here in Nevada to have access, because like how you mentioned being responsive, but also us being able to speak to our legislators. And I'm just thankful that I can talk and support your bill and text with you. So I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, and I think that's the best part of our job, right? Is talking to the communities that we serve and working together finding that the ways that we can collaborate to create a better Nevada. And I think organizations like Solutions of Change are a part of that. So I'm really excited to bring you all in and have you all involved in this legislative process as you guys continue to grow here in the state.
Thank you so much, Assemblywoman. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charles Whitby, and thank you for watching Fancy Friday. I'm here to talk to you about putting your money where your mouth is. And as you can tell on the program, we have a lot of content around mental health awareness, and that is intentional. The reason why is because Solutions of Change, which is the signs that you're seeing behind everyone during the program, is a nonprofit that was started by Dinesha in order to basically assist the uninsured and underinsured into getting the mental health services that they need. Many times people need help in different ways, right? If you need health help, you need mental health help. You can go to the hospital, you can go to the therapist. We have people who are not insured enough to be able to go to the hospital, and we have people who are not insured enough to go see a therapist. And so this nonprofit is geared to fill that gap for those who are not able to. So we're asking you, out of the generosity of your heart, to be able to give whatever you can give, whether that's $5 or $500 or $5,000, whatever your contribution may be. It will go towards this nonprofit, which will help the uninsured and underinsured receive the help that they need from the capacity of mental health awareness. There's two ways to give. Actually, there's a couple ways, but the two main ways digitally in this new age is to use PayPal. And if you're using PayPal, you can use the email address to send to solutionsofchange@gmail.com. Once again, that's solutionsofchange@gmail.com to give. The other way that you can give is you can use Cash App, and you can use the cash tag Solutions of Change, right? So this is the cash sign, Solutions of Change. And whatever your contribution is will go to that charity. So once again, PayPal, solutionsofchange@gmail.com, and Cash App, cash tag Solutions of Change. We appreciate every donation. Doesn't matter how small or so great. We are very thankful for anything that you can give, and we compel you to give. Help our community. Help those who need help. If you've ever been helped by anyone. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for watching Fancy Friday.
Broken down and tired, living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but it's alright, 'cause we gon' work it out.